What is going on, Nuggets Nation, NBA fans? I'm Tom Leuthner. As you guys know, welcome back into Nuggets Today. So, the day of yesterday's recording, there was a massive update. I think I said that yesterday, and I was covering center, so I figured why not stay in the center topic. And today, I'll get into a new topic, and that is the point guards. And the update is that Tel Aviv is looking to offer Russell Westbrook the largest contract in EuroLeague history, or quote unquote an offer never before seen in the EuroLeague. So now I think about it, and is it the worst thing for Denver? Probably not. Is it the best thing for Denver? Definitely not. So I know that I've had my differences with how Russ was playing, especially in the playoffs, and I did say after the injury it made me a little nervous, and I'm going to go back on my update, and that is that after his hand injury, he probably would just take his option in Denver, because why else, or where else would you go that's going to pay you the money that Denver's going to pay you after you have hand surgery at your age and how bad you played? Do I think that Russ was a great fit for Denver off the bench? 100%. Looking at the free agents and who is available for Denver to get, you're probably not going to get many players for the amount that Russ was making that are going to come in and have the same kind of difference that Russ would have. So I know that's weird to say because, his stats didn't look amazing, but he brought the intensity for Denver. He really did. And I know that his shooting splits were sometimes they're terrible, sometimes they're great. There was really, somebody said that Russell Westbrook is the equivalent to a Mario Kart item box, and I believe it. It's true. He came out and you never knew what he really was going to give you. You didn't know if he was going to give you 25 and 5, if he was going to give you a 12-point triple-double, or if he was going to give you 4, 2 and 2 on 2 for 12 shooting. So I don't think it's the worst thing for Denver. But at the same time, if it came to Russ accepting his option and Dario Saric accepting his option, I would much rather have Russ accept his option. So now both of them are getting looks from the EuroLeague. So like I said last episode, Denver needs a backup center. But now they might need a backup point guard as well. So I'm checking the market. I'm doing my research. I'm looking at some potential options. And since I only have 4 topics here today, I'm going to cover 3 people I think Denver should bring in. And again, they're not going to be the best names in the world. I'm not going to say Steph Curry, rather. I'm not going to say Trae Young. I'm not going to say whoever you're thinking. I'm not going to say Tyrese Maxey. I'm going to be realistic in what I think Denver should do when it comes to signing players. Now, the first player I want to get into is a player that Denver already had. And I know people are going to say, well, it's a terrible signing. 29-year-old unrestricted free agent, Monte Morris. I loved Monte when he was with Denver. He was able to go in, started in playoff games with Jokic when Jamal tore his ACL, and he was doing what he needed to do. You look back at what he was able to do in 22-23. He was on the Wizards. He was starting. He was getting almost every minute in the game as their point guard. He averaged 10, 3, and 5, which isn't terrible. You look at last season on the Suns, and he was only putting up 5, 1.5, and 2. Obviously, his numbers dropped dramatically, but his minutes also dropped drastically. So at the same time, I think he's going to be a backup point guard. He's not going to do anything but come in when Jamal needs a break or start if Jamal gets hurt. I think he's better than Jalen Pickett. I know that people have their opinions on Jalen Pickett. I don't think he's good. I haven't seen anything from him after Denver drafted him. I know, and I read a comment, well, he had a triple-double. Players do that. I mean, Malachi Flynn dropped 50 in a game. I don't even know if he's in the NBA anymore. So I think that Monte is a good fit, not a great fit. He knows the system. He knows how to play around Jokic. He knows how to come in, play with Jamal Murray, with MPJ rather. He knows how to come in when Jamal's not there and be able to actually play. He was a very good shooter for Denver when he was there. I know his numbers don't look as good as they did when he was with Denver, but I felt like when he was on Denver, he wouldn't miss shots. I know it's weird to say, but he was automatic when he came in. So I think that he's a very good cheap option. Not a great cheap option, but a very good cheap option. And again, he'll probably sign for a minimum. He's 29, his stats weren't great, and he just needs somebody to pick him up. And I think that Denver should look into it. Maybe not do it right away if they're able to get better players, but look into it. The next player I want to talk about is a very good vet, 31 years old, restricted free agent. He's a spark plug bench player. He's not the best player in the world, and that is Dennis Schroeder. I think that Schroeder played awesome in the playoffs. So you look back, and it's funny because, this season he averaged 10, 3, and 5. He shot 45% from the field and 30% from 3. Not amazing. Those splits aren't great. In Denver at least, you probably want somebody who's out there shooting whatever, 40% from three. Obviously, it's that's an insane number. But you want somebody shooting 32, 33, 34%, which I know it sounds like it's not a lot, but that's an average of maybe half a three made per game. So I think that he was very good for what he is. He's a vet that I think there's this stigma around him that people are so negative on him because of the amount of teams he was on, how he didn't work out for the Lakers, he didn't work out in Brooklyn, or, like, there's obviously going to be players like that who find the place that they need to be in and they actually make it work. And I think that he did that in Detroit, and he might get paid a little bit more. Now, do I want Denver to use their MLE on him? No, probably not. Again, I'm looking more at players who I think could be minimum players. And I think that Schroeder could come in and be the guy that Denver needs, right? You look at the games against the Knicks in the playoffs. And the Knicks, who were a defensive sound team, like I said a few episodes ago, they were the number 3 defensive rated team in the NBA. They were a very good defensive team. I know that Brunson struggled. I know that Cat struggled. But you look at anybody that could have picked this guy up. In games 2 and 3, he went out and dominated. He had 22 and 3 on 6 for 10 shooting. And then that was in game 2. And then in game 3, 18, 5 and 2 on 6 for 9 shooting. Now, did he have his games where he struggled? 100%. But he's a bench point guard. That is a phenomenal option for Denver if he's able to come off the bench and give you 22 and 3 or 18, 5 and 2, or even if he's able to give you 11, 2 and 3. That's what Denver needs. Or 11 and 3. Forget the rebounds. If Denver can go out and get a backup center like Cornette, then why not bring in Schroeder if he could give you 11 and 2, and then you have a legitimate bench? I think that a backup lineup of a guy like Cornette, a guy like Schroeder, Julian Strawther, Deron Holmes, and Watson is great, especially in the Western Conference where you need at least 10 players right now to contend. That is an awesome lineup, right? And that's not what Denver had last year. Last year was Russ, who I like, and it's looking like it may not happen again because Tel Aviv will probably offer him more money than any NBA team. I mean, any NBA team will offer him next year. But it's better than Russ, Watson. They didn't play Strawther when he came back off his injury, and DeAndre Jordan, I guess. So that's what I think that Dennis Schroeder is really the better of the two options of him and Monte Morris. But there's one more option I want to get into. So he's a young backup that Denver could add. He's 25 years old, unrestricted free agent, dealt with a little bit of injuries. Trey Jones. I think he's the best of the three, obviously. You look at what he did. And he's probably the least realistic option out of the three. Like, if you're thinking about it, Denver's going to go after a vet. If they're able to get a 25-year-old that they could bring in for 2 or 3 years on a good contract, on a team-friendly deal, and he can do what he was doing in the games he played, 100% do it, because that's the best option you have. So he played 18 games in Chicago. I think he played around 40 games in total before San Antonio traded him. I think he averaged 7 points throughout the season, 8 points maybe. But when he was playing those games in those 18 games in Chicago, he put up 12, 3, and 5 on 57% shooting from the field and 50% shooting from 3. Tell me Denver doesn't need a guy like that. I don't care if, obviously I care if he gets hurt, but if he comes in and plays 50 to 60 games for Denver and he is playing in the playoffs, I am happy, and I think he is the best option. They don't need a superstar point guard if they're not trading Jamal. They just need a backup. Now, these are 3 guys who, obviously there's a handful of other guys out there who Denver can sign. These are the first 3 guys I was looking at who I thought were realistic and worked. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys for today. I'll have another episode out for you guys tomorrow, and I hope to catch you guys soon. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Let me know if there's anybody that you guys want me to cover, any player you want me to break down on why I think they would or wouldn't work for Denver. But that's all I got for you guys today. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you guys later.